Hey, everybody. I'm Sandy Oliver, and I'm going to be your instructor for Humanities 115 for the spring 2026 term. And what I want to do today is just introduce you to the course and walk through the syllabus. It's our first day stuff that we would do if we were seated, and we still need to do it if we're in this format. And so I hope that you will have your syllabus next to you and maybe a pen or a pencil so you can, mark some things. Everything in there is important, of course, but not everything has the same importance. And especially when it comes to being successful in this class and just successful in college in general, you have to pay attention to your syllabus and do all the reading, and you know the drill. It's not your first day as a student. So I'm going to have my syllabus here and I'm going to walk through it with you. And if you haven't printed that out or saved it to your device so you have access to it, pause me and then go do that and we'll see what we can get done. Okay, like I said, I'm Sandy Oliver. I was Sandy Dolan for a very long time. David and I, my husband and I, met later in life, and we've been married now for 11 and a half years. So I'm Sandy Oliver, but all over the place, I am Sandy Dolan. So there's that part too. So you'll see a little SDO at the end of my communications, and that's just my initials. Okay. Um, I don't have an office on campus, and since we're online all the time, the only real way you can get a hold of me is by email. I check my email a lot. I try to get back to things the same day, but sometimes if you're up late, because I'm not, I might have to wait. You might have to wait until in the morning to get things done, but that's okay. Um, I check my email every day, Monday through Saturday. I have a Sunday holy day, and so I try really hard not to work on Sunday, but sometimes it happens. Let's see. Oh, okay. So I am part of the English, Humanities, and World Languages department. Our base is over in Smith, so that's where things end up anyway. We have a couple of dates for you to be aware of. What we call our census date. So it's our 10%. That's what census means, 10%. Um, and basically, anybody who's going to enter into the class has to do it by midnight on January 22nd. If you don't, then you can't be in the class this term. And so you'll be dropped as a never attended and you can't get back in. So there's that part. The last day for students to withdraw, and withdrawing before the end of the semester does not leave you with a grade issue, like it's not an F. But it is a W, which means you don't get the credits for this course. So be careful about what you drop and when, so that whatever scholarship you have or financial aid of any kind is not messed up. And if you ever have doubts about that, please, please, please go talk to Student Services over in the Student Success Center in Tart. Okay, onward. I try to make things as clear as possible, but I know what is clear and easy to me might not translate that same way for you. So please ask questions, send me an email. Hey, Miss Oliver, I'm in your, humanities IO3, and I don't think we have all the pieces we need for this week. Whatever your question is, ask it. Tell me what you want me to do about it. Okay. I would really appreciate if you would identify your section, especially if you're giving me something to grade. Makes my life so much easier. And I give you points, so you want it to be easier, right? So anyway, I check everything every day. I do everything I can, grade what's there, and then I'm off. I do have the Outlook on my phone, so I check that the rest of the day into the evening. And yeah, we try to get things done. So this course is 100% online, on your own time kind of thing. I expect that you're spending about 6 hours a week. Excuse me. between the videos and reading and such, and then doing the homework. Remember that just because you're not in class doesn't mean you don't have a class. Okay. You can do this at your convenience, which is wonderful, especially for working parents, people who are maybe have some energy issues, those of you who are nocturnal, that kind of thing. And I try to accommodate that as much as I can. However, I am not going to answer my email at 2 a.m. So just so you know. But email. We do everything online. Everything is on Blackboard this term, and you turn in everything to Blackboard. I only give you one shot at Blackboard. So for each assignment, you have one attempt. If somehow that gets messed up, send it to my email and we'll be fine. Okay. So required materials. We have a textbook. It's called The Power of Critical Thinking. It's by Dr. Lewis Vaughn. It's a e-text. So you have access to it from moment one on day one. There's none of this, the bookstore didn't get the books in or anything like that. It's an e-text. It is a little bit odd in how it does pages, but once you get used to it a little bit, it'll be fine. I put up on Blackboard in our course information, there's a link in there for all the things about the book, how to get there, what to do, and all that. So just look there first and you'll be fine. You also need to make sure you have access to Blackboard, of course, and the internet. Check that you can still get to library resources from there. You need to get used to using your JCC email because that's where all your information goes to. Now, I know there's lots of ways to forward things and do all that, but in any course, make sure you're looking at that on a daily basis, just in case. Sometimes we have inclement weather, doesn't affect our class at all, unfortunately, no snow days for us. But it does affect how things are counted at the college, so keep that in mind. You have to have a computer or tablet for completing work. I'm old in lots of ways, so I like to have something, I handwrite everything first. And I take notes by hand. If you take notes by hand or want to do your homework by hand, that's fine. You just need to take a picture and then post the picture or insert little picture into your document. Word makes that very easy. You all have access to Word through the college. It is free for you. The downside is it's everywhere. So, if you're used to using an ODT or something like that, it might come across. I have had good luck and bad luck with the ODT stuff. So give it a shot. We'll see if it works. I cannot open a Pages page. So those of you who are using Chromebooks, our high school students are using Chromebooks especially, go ask someone to show you how to save things as a docx, which is the best thing for Blackboard. It likes it. It talks to Microsoft. I think they have some sort of conspiracy going there, but that's okay. Make sure, again, that you're checking your JCC email every day, except your holy day, and we'll move on from there. Okay. So critical thinking is the name of the course, and it is not what you think at first glance. Critical thinking is basically being able to analyze what's going on and make good decisions. Now, there's a formal definition for that in our book, and that's really important, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So our course grade details is what everyone wants to know. How am I getting graded, right? So you have 3 papers. They're at least 3 pages each. We go through an assignment sheet and a preliminary piece and a draft, and then I grade it for the final draft. So I'm trying to give you the benefits of my writing background, but not kill you with, oh, you have to do a peer review and oh, you have to do this. No. This is not technically a writing course. The focus of this course is critical thinking, but I know that some people do better in writing an assignment than they do in taking a test, even our test, and I'll get to that next. So we have 3 papers. They each have 3 things to do. preliminary, draft, final. And so the preliminary stuff is a regular homework assignment. And my homework assignments are usually worth about 20 points. And then the final draft that you turn in is 100 points. So it's a 10% of the course. Same thing for exams. We have 4 exams. They roughly follow our units. The only one that does, well, the first 2 follow perfectly. Okay. The third one, it's called arguments, and we have 2 kinds of deductive argument that we're going to talk about, and one is inductive. I put that inductive with the end chapters because they're all inductive. Anyway, it just didn't work out the first couple times I tried it by the book. So we do 4 tests. That last one is not a final exam. It's just a Unit 4 test. They are all open book, open note, untimed. They do have a deadline, though. So keep that in mind. So one thing about Blackboard and the grading, we technically don't use points, although you get points, so it's kind of confusing. We use a weighted grades. So the papers and the exams are 70% of your grade, 10% each. So, crashing and burning on one of those is not going to fry your grade. So it's all good. Reading logs are your summary, outline, notes, however you want to, as long as it's a full page of work. Whatever's most useful for you. I'll get it out of my head eventually. Whatever's most useful for you in studying and internalizing the concepts from the chapter, that's what I want you to do. Okay, for reading logs. There's an explanation and some examples up on Blackboard to walk through, but that's the big deal. Those all together, and there are 20 of them, are your reading logs, and they're 10% of your grade. Everything else, chapter exercises, drafts of papers, discussion boards, anything else that doesn't fit into exams, papers, or reading logs is homework. And really, I know it's all homework, but that's okay. It's 20% wrapped up in there. So you have 70% of what we call high stakes grades and 30% of low stakes grades. So it's all good. There is a current BB Blackboard grade column in your the My Grade section. And so it's good, as long as you have, as long as you're caught up, it's pretty correct. It's an estimate. Okay. Don't take it as absolute truth. But it is an estimate, and I always double check the math. So it's good. Let's see. Grading scale, we use a 10-point scale. It's there on page 3 in your syllabus. I make every effort to post grades within a week of their due date. Actually, I try to be caught up every day. Doesn't always happen, but about 90%, 95% of the time. I grade whatever is turned in from Saturday to Monday morning. I grade on Monday. Same thing, Tuesday, Wednesday, like that. So I try to grade everything every day. When we're doing rough drafts or exams and I need to make comments and things, that might take me a little bit longer. So I give myself a week. Now, if you turn in something late, we have to talk about it. So this particular class, again, check your My Grade section frequently. I should have everything up. You won't be able to see everything at the beginning. You have to take the EVQ first, enrollment verification quiz first, and then the first 4 weeks will open up for you. And then after that, they're on a timed schedule. So they open up 2 weeks before things are due, and then we go on from there. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to shut things off. You have a little bit of late work issue, and I'm going to go on to the next. Okay, about AI. I am very concerned about the way AI can be used basically to think for you. And anybody who tells you that's a good idea does not have your best interest at heart. The big deal with AI is I know it's useful. I know it can do things for you to streamline your workload and all that. But this is school, not work. And school is for you to learn in. Um, the AI knows stuff. Not all of it's correct, but it knows stuff. I want to see what you know. So please, please, please do not be tempted to use AI for any of your assignments. It doesn't warrant it. We're not doing stuff where you would have to collaborate across the world and all that. You're not permitted to use artificial intelligence engines, software, or other programs to create content for this course, unless I give you permission. And just know right now, I'm not going to give you permission. You do not have permission to enter any course content created by your instructor, content from your textbook publisher, or work created by your classmates into an AI language model or AI software because you do not have their permission to share or distribute this content to another source. So basically, if you're taking the chapter and telling AI to generate a summary for you, not only are you cheating, and you're cheating yourself, but you are basically committing copyright infringement. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but write a book and find out how bad it is when somebody steals your stuff. So I can change this policy if we need to. I haven't had to change it yet. AI is still building, and you do not have my permission or anybody else's permission in this class to use their work and their words in an AI. So just leave it alone. Do your work with integrity. Okay, I have a late work policy. I do take late work. The big deal for me is I know life blows up in your face sometimes, and school can't always win. And so if you know you're going to be late with something, and you really need to give me some time. Now, I am an early to bed, early to rise person. Well, relatively so. If you figure out at 10:30 that you're not going to make the 11:59 deadline, it's too late. You're going to get a late penalty. Now, if something dire happens, you're in an accident or you have to go to the hospital for somebody else, whatever, send me as quick as you can and I'll fix things. Okay. But in general, if you're going to be late, you got called into work. Your kid's sick, you're sick, whatever. If you've got some things coming in, then let me know. Not because it's any of my business, but so that I can say, oh, yeah, no problem. I'll give you an extension. How does Friday sound or how does Saturday sound? And we move on from there. Be big people, be adults, take care of your time, and make sure that you're keeping those who are affected by your use of time in the loop. Now, if your assignment's late, it will lose 10% of its value and is not eligible for extra credit. Okay, I don't give extra credit assignments, but I do give extra credit for extra work. So if you're told, your reading log has to be a full page, well, if you're like me, your notes may be 5 pages. Turn them in. You get extra credit. You can get a 10% bump. And so that's just how that works. There will be extra credit possibilities in nearly every chapter, nearly every week. And so, kind of get that there. So I take late work. It suffers a 10% deduction. And you only have 2 weeks from its original due date to make it up. Okay. And I will try to be more diligent about letting you know about those, basically, this is the last week you can turn in X. Okay. But think 2 weeks in the back of your mind for when things get crazy. Don't keep that as a constant. Oh, well, it's not really due for 2 weeks. No, that's not true. So keep up with your work. But when you can't keep up with your work, know that you're not gonna die. It's not a good excuse to drop the class yet. Okay. So best practices for learning. Make sure that you read everything I tell you to read, watch everything I tell you to watch, and ask questions until you understand. Okay. Now, when we get to chapters 8 and 9, you might need to read things twice. Just saying. So, anyway, make sure that you contact me anytime you have a question or need clarification. I'm going to do my best to communicate with you on a weekly basis. I usually, when I finish grading on Saturday, I send my announcement for the next week. So you'll have a heads up. Oh, here's what we're doing next week. So plan accordingly. You already have it. The last 2 pages of your syllabus is the course schedule, like this week, these things are due. And so you can like cross them off if you're a list person. If you're not a list person, then, it's there if you need it. And it's a tentative schedule. I don't foresee there being changes to it, but that's not my gift either. So we'll see how it goes this semester. Okay. Due dates. So there are certain things that I really want you to do in sequence. Like I want you to do the study guides before you do the exam. So the study guides are due on Tuesday and then the exam's due on Thursday. My weeks go Monday to Thursday because in our country, in the United States, there are 3 major religions and others that kind of pattern after them. And their holy days are either Friday or Saturday or Sunday. So I don't want people to think I'm making them work on their holy day. But I'm also not judging you if you work every day of the week. Okay. Although I know you're in school and it's difficult to get everything done in 6 days, but excuse me. Don't burn yourself out too young. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, you have at least one thing due each. Most of the time, you have 2 or 3 things due each. And make sure to put things in by the due date. Now, I know a lot of working adults, especially people who work full-time and have kids, need to do their homework on the weekends. That's okay. I don't count the first week's work late at all. And so, but from there on, do your work on the weekend for the next week. Okay, work ahead, not behind. You don't want to be constantly losing 10% of your grade. Let's see. Again, I check my email often and will try to respond to questions that you have as soon as possible. The policy is within 24 hours. And most of the time that works pretty well. I may be off by an hour or two. I usually do them early. Now, if it's something that I have to get back into the class to look at and move on, it's probably the next morning, as opposed to, 8 o'clock at night. But we'll see. Okay. Again, reiterating that there is tutoring in the LRC, the library, and they can help you with a lot of things. And if you know that, you need somebody to kick you in the butt every once in a while, they're a good resource for that as well. Please, please, please make sure that you are reading your stuff out loud before you turn it in, even discussion boards and things like that, so that it makes sense. Our brains tend to make sense of what we're reading anyway. So if you read it out loud, it makes it harder for it to skip things or add words that aren't really there. So that's just kind of normal. Okay. Like I said before, we're online all the time, not meeting in person. It's important for us to be respectful because we don't know each other yet. And I will do my best to be standard and respectful. And I hope you will do the same. Call me Mrs. Oliver when you refer to me in, as an email or whatever. Hey, Miss Oliver, what you doing? That kind of stuff. Okay. Just not, you know, no salutation on there. Email is difficult because, well, it's not difficult. It's problematic because those folks in my generation who built the systems are very used to capital letters and periods and, that kind of stuff. And then we have now, I guess, 2 or 3 generations that just grew up on texting. I love texting. I'm an introvert. I know. Teacher, introvert. God has a sense of humor. I text incomplete sentences. I don't know all the innuendo for the emojis, nor do I want to. And I am older. Okay. I'm at least your parents' age. We'll go with that. So we'll be respectful to one another, and we'll make sure that if there's a misunderstanding that we don't jump to conclusions. I want to tell you straight up, I tend to be too nice as opposed to a meanie. Doesn't mean I can't be mean. I just don't like to. And I think in our current situation with the world politics and all that, we need to be as nice to each other as we can. Help somebody out, right? So make sure if you have a question that you email it to me early. And if it's something that I think other people will have problems with, I'll answer you and then I'll put out an announcement. Hey, just found out about this. So sorry. I'm fixing it now. It should be fine for you now. That kind of stuff. So here, then we have the wild thing here, attendance. I will tell you that the college has been going through some major shifts in the way it thinks about things and the way it communicates things. And so this has been kind of interesting. Attendance and participation are required for lots and lots of reasons. One, you're taking the class, somebody's paying for it. And beyond all that transactional stuff, you're taking a class to learn something to help better your life. And I know sometimes classes or life in general gets a bit boring and we wish we could do something else. Okay. Well, don't do it too often because you have to show up for class. And for us, that means turning in assignments that are due that week. Okay. For at least, 1 or 2 assignments a week. Okay. 1 per due date. I already told you about the census date issues. If you are watching this, as soon as you're done watching this, read through your syllabus one more time, have it next to you, and go take the enrollment verification quiz. Pay attention to the questions, especially the last 5 or 6, because they're about our class in particular. Okay. And we'll go on from there, but that's the 10% point. Is January 22nd. You have to have it done by the end of that day, or I have to drop you as a never attended. So that's kind of eh. The other thing is you have to come in. You have to turn in at least 1 assignment per attendance day. And I do attendance on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I always give you a little bit of wiggle room there, especially the first couple weeks, because I know it's interesting. I had in my head today that I was going to use my old camera with my new computer, and they don't talk to each other. So I'm using my new computer's camera to do this. So we'll see how it comes out, But it's a new thing. I understand there's always going to be a wiggle somewhere. Keep that in the back of your head all the time. Okay. So now the absence thing. If a student accumulates absences totaling 15% or more of the total scheduled class meetings, the instructor may withdraw them from the course. I really like the way this turned out because it might have been much harsher than this. It used to be much harsher than this. So 15% is basically 3 weeks. Okay. And they don't have to be consecutive, and they don't have to be 3 weeks, like you missed Tuesday and Thursday that week. Okay, so I can count you 2. Well, if you turned in the discussion board for on Tuesday, then you only missed 1 day. And so that's how that's gonna work out. Anytime you're curious or you've forgotten to keep track or whatever, ask. I try to send out an email every time I have to give an absence on there, so that you know where you stand. Okay. Doesn't always happen like 100% of the time, but about 95. Okay. So keep track of your own learning, keep track of your attendance. The best way I found, as a student, was to just mark it in my planner. Anytime I forgot an assignment, missed class, I would write myself a note. And then that way I knew when, where, and how, basically. Okay. So if you miss those 3 weeks, I can drop you. I might drop you. I will probably drop you. A lot of it depends upon, if it's super sporadic, then no, I'm not going to drop you because you come back and you get your work caught up and you move on. But if you don't, then, there's different things. So excused absences show up for religious observance. Please let me know if you have something coming up. Military service, active duty, or deployment. If you are a reservist of any kind or National Guard and you get activated, put me on the list of people you got to talk to, and we'll figure things out. My husband is retired Army, and so we understand a bit about veterans and current people on duty and all of that. And I respect you guys greatly. Thank you for your service. A couple of things. Student responsibilities are the normal, right? Attend all scheduled class meetings on time. Well, for us, turn in one assignment for each class period. Notify your instructors promptly of any anticipated absences. Obtaining materials and assignments missed due to absences. Now, the material stuff, you'll have them all online, so no big deal there. But make sure you turn in your assignments as soon as you can. Monitor your own attendance status so you avoid exceeding that 6 times. Now, on page 6, there are a couple of links if you're working from your device, regulations and expectations, and then college resources. Take a few minutes. These are the same on every single syllabus, so take a few minutes and figure them out, what might be useful for you in whatever classes you're taking, okay? Jolt, they're the ones who run our Blackboard and do a lot of professional development, student development classes and things about Blackboard. If you've never used an online learning management system, LMS, please do yourself a favor and run through the Blackboard student orientation. It's linked in our Blackboard page, and it's very helpful. It's going to tell you how to save things and where to post things and that kind of stuff. If you're already good with that, or you're one of those people that like to just kind of get in and get your feet wet, by all means. Okay, not a big deal, but you have that available. And I already talked about this a little bit. The religious or solemn observance policy is that you can get an excused absence if you have something to do with your congregation, with your church, with your military service, with whatever. So I just lost my aunt. She passed on December 28th. And so her funeral was January 5th. I couldn't go. But if I had wanted to go, it would be in Ohio, not wanted to go. I wanted to go. Don't spread rumors. But because I couldn't go, I didn't have to count that time off. But if I had gone, it was in Ohio. And so I know that's basically 10, I think it's 10 hours straight of driving. I can't do that. So it'd take me 2 days to get there, have the funeral, 2 days to get back. So I would be looking at missing 3 days of school school/work. So I would let my supervisor know, hey, I'm not going to be able to be here because I'm going to be in Ohio at my aunt's funeral. That's okay. You get an excused absence. You might have to bring back one of those, get an extra bulletin or whatever. So there's that. Okay. Couple more things. I know I'm going a little bit long, not too horribly. The Jaguar Writing Portal is a good resource for students if you're having trouble getting a paper to come together, if you just want another pair of eyes to look at it and tell you, okay, here's the assignment sheet from the instructor. I'm trying to write my rough draft. How am I doing? Okay. You want them to look for content and how closely you're following the grading criteria or rubric. Okay. They can do that for you. It's very nice. It's a 48-hour turnaround is their guarantee. Most of the time, it's faster than that. And they have some pretty good tutors over there as far as their writing tutors go. I don't know any of the regular, like, I need a math tutor. I know they have them and that students are more successful when they do that. So that's okay. But anyway, the writing portal is a very good addition to our class because it can help you in details and stuff that maybe I don't have the time for. Okay. That and they're at the college. If you're at the college, it's great. They also have an online schmoot. So you can post it online. I've given you the link there on page 7. One thing that we have going at JCC is what they call Faculty First. And it doesn't really mean what you think it does. If you have trouble with me, if I've offended you in some way, or if you think I'm being unfair, then you need to tell me first. This is called being a grown-up. We talk to people, not about them, most of the time. But anyway, the thing with Faculty First is you come to me and say, Miss Oliver, this is just not fair. I did X and Y and Z. And okay, let me explain myself. Here's what happened on my end. And then does that make sense to you? Does that, basically alleviate your concern? If not, we can talk further and until we get to a place where we're like, okay, yeah, that works. We can work with that. Okay. If we can't get to that point, then we talk to my boss, who is Elizabeth Baker. She's the Dean of English, Humanities, and World Languages. She has an office over in Smith. And she usually, what she does is she talks to the student by themselves. She talks to the faculty by themselves. And then if it seems like it would be productive, she gets us together, the three of us, like a Teams meeting kind of thing. If she can kind of weed through the mess and figure out, okay, here's what should have been done. Here's what I need you to do. Then we're all good too. If we can't, for some reason, we can't get everything done with Elizabeth, then we can talk to the Associate Vice President of Curriculum, our boss's boss, my boss's boss, Lisa Cooper. She also has an office in Smith, although I thought she was moving to Wood, but that's okay. We'll have to see if that's actually true. But we can talk to her as well. Please don't escalate things and go write a letter to the president of the college before you've actually talked to me. That's the long and short of it, because they're all going to point you back to Faculty First and then to whatever we're doing. Okay? So that's the syllabus. I want to take a couple minutes and walk through briefly the pages 9 and 10, which is your, I think this, yes, yay, okay. I was worried about that. It says at the top of every page, version 1.2 effective fall 2025. That's the actual syllabus thing. I wish they had put that at the bottom, but they didn't. Okay, so this schedule, you can read it in 2 different ways. You can go down, okay? So week 1, week 2, all the way down on the first page through spring break, which is a whole week, to week 9. And then on the next page is week 10 to 17, okay? So we have different things due each week. And what I've tried to do is to get them to line up with the due dates. So the enrollment verification quiz, the student survey, and the introduction post is due by Tuesday, most likely tomorrow for those of you looking at this. the 13th, and then the chapter 1 exercises and reading log is due the 15th. Okay. Again, if you are floundering, make sure you do the discussion board, both the post and the replies, because they don't really need the book to go around. Although I try to make them fit where we are in the book. So, that's helpful. But the first couple are, not that big of a deal. So if you go down the list, it should be correct all the way down for dates. If you find something that is not, like it still says, it's fall dates, then we might have issues. But no, we're good here. So, and I bolded the major assignments, exams, paper 1 final drafts. So you can see that. If you look at the very end of page 10, week 17, this is the Unit 4 late work deadline, and our class ends on Monday, May 11th at noon. Okay? At noon. And I know there will be people who fudge that. I'm sorry, noon. Anything turned in after 12 noon on Monday, May 11th will not be graded. So plan your time accordingly. Okay? I hope this settles things. For the most part, this is our first day stuff, right? One thing that I usually do, we're doing with the introductions database, which is I have you tell me a few things about yourself so we all get to know each other better. I have posted mine. It's a little long, but then, it takes me 45 minutes to get through the syllabus. So, it's kind of normal. Do what you can and see what you can get done this week. And let me know if you have questions or concerns. I know it's a lot of work. It's a college class and it's critical thinking. And some of this is stuff that you've probably never seen before. So it's going to take us time. Be diligent. You're in college. It's a privilege that not everybody gets. So take advantage of it, and in the good way, and be receptive to what you're supposed to learn and how you're supposed to do things. I will tell you, there are a couple of things that I'm going to tell you right off the top, because I've had a lot of problems with these in the past. We only work in the Power of Critical Thinking 8th edition. Anything other than that constitutes cheating, because it's not something that you have access to in the class. So it's an unauthorized outside. Ta-da. So make sure that you're actually using the book. You're paying for it in your BibliU stuff, so you might as well use it. If you are like me and you need a paper version, Amazon carries them, and they're not horrible. They're not like your biology text. Okay, it's not a $400 book. I think the last time I looked, it was $92, which is still a lot, I know. But Amazon does allow you to rent your book. So there is that kind of thing. Just be careful. Make sure it's the 8th edition, and we'll go on from there. The other thing is follow the format. I have an assignment format page that you can use and fill in with your own information, and then just save as whatever your actual assignment is. And that way you have it all the time. Or just keep downloading it. It's all right. So if you have questions, please email me, let me know. And I will see you shortly for the weekly work reminder, whatever that is called, weekly work video. Yeah. Okay. Have a great day. Do what you can. I know it's a lot, so hang in there. Bye.